Hi, Markus.
Heiko, hello. Hello, everybody.
Hello, everyone. Hope everybody is fine. Thanks for tuning in to have a talk, I think, with another very interesting special guest with Jaap Brasser, which we're going to include into the talk in a minute. And so, as always, we try to find a little theme for the beginning, like what relates to today's events in the past, which today is the iPad launch, right, Markus?
Exactly.
Exactly.
So yeah, it was in 2010,
10, I think.
11,
Yeah, 2010.
10 or
Yeah, already
okay,
13 years ago. Yeah,
13 years. Yeah.
where Steve Jobs over here. Yeah, I think the first time the iPad got showed, and it, as we all know, it has a big impact. I'm using it for making music, for example. So I'm a real iPad fan for this. You are an Apple fan, but not so much an iPad fan, right?
To be honest, yeah, I have a lot of Apple stuff. I love Apple to work with all the Apple stuff, but I do not have an iPad and I never had one. So
Okay, but that
don't know
doesn't.
why.
Yeah, but that doesn't really matter, right? So, but it just shows how time flies, right? It's really like
Yeah.
it's like yesterday, right? Okay, so with this, I would say, as mentioned, we have Jaap with us today. I guess many of the people know him, but for people who don't know him, I think we will get to know him better. And as we can see, hey Jaap, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for
Hi.
having me.
Yeah, thanks for being with us. And from the color of your hoodie, someone could sense you might be from the Netherlands, right?
Well, actually, I was trying to blend in with your beanbag right behind there, and the idea was to get a photo in the background, so it looks like I'm sitting in a beanie bag, but I couldn't make it work. So I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay. Maybe maybe next time. Yeah, yes, yeah. You see, I might have some relation, to the House of Orange as well. So who knows? And I mean, look at this, right? I mean, orange is everywhere.
I mean, our names here are in an orange banner as well, so I think
Yeah,
I fit
yeah,
right
yeah.
in.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can see a theme here. Yeah. So before we went on live, we already started talking about a couple of things that we also would like to ask you, of course, for the now that we are live. And again, as always, if you guys who join our session, if you have questions, put them into the chat in YouTube, and then we can just throw them in. And if you have some burning questions for Jaap around PowerShell automation, Microsoft community, whatever comes to your head, just don't be shy. Use the chat section, and then we're happy to ask Jaap your questions. So for the beginning, I would say, Markus, we already have a number of questions. We start with the first one, right?
Yeah, so maybe you can tell us a few words about your background. So since when you are in IT?
Oh,
and why?
Yes, and why?
What went wrong?
Well, my dad brought home. This was an XT PC, so a really old one in the 80s, and I saw that he was typing in commands to get to the games. So everything was MS-DOS back in those days. So I paid very close attention to what he was typing. I could barely read at the time, but I copied enough for me to be able to sneak into his room, turn on the computer when he wasn't there, and be able to start my game. So I suppose I was 4 years old at the time. I think that
Wow.
we started in IT, and then Professionally, I started out working on a help desk and found out that Microsoft was the Microsoft technology stack resonated quite well with me, so I got more into that, and that's a very short version of how I ended up there.
Yeah, but okay. I mean, starting with 4, that's really. I mean, that's like today when kids start to play around with, for example, iPad or something like this. So this is really. I mean, that is early for that. As you said, it was DOS, right?
Yeah. But if you give a 4-year-old an iPad, then within a day they know things with the iPad that we don't know about. So
yeah,
kids
absolutely.
pick things up
exactly.
really quickly.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. So and then so over time, so we will come to the PowerShell topics, obviously, but then right now I think your job is being a developer advocate, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So what does that mean? So what is this all about?
So actually, for most of my career, I've just been working as either a consultant or an engineer. And about 5 years ago, I made a switch to developer advocate. It's called now. I'm called now. And what it means is I make people enthusiastic about our product. I listen to their feedback. Try to think of better ways that people can interact with it. Try to fill in the gaps by creating specific use cases, and it can be something technical, or it can be as simple as a blog post. For example, one of the things I did in the past, I built out a PowerShell wrapper around our API endpoints. That's when I learned a lot about the web commandlets and what is possible and what isn't possible.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a mixed bag, and I get to speak at cool events. But I think we'll get to some of the events later on in the talk. So
yeah. So thanks. So this is so it's like a mixture between technical role and also being outside meeting people, right?
Yeah, that's right. So it's what I like about it is that if I want to geek out on something and I want to do some hardcore tech, I can just code for 2 weeks and make something work. But on the other side of things, I get to meet people, which people are still happy to meet me, or at least I'm oblivious to the fact they aren't. So I get to go to events and meet people. And I also like doing the translation from a customer that's highly technical, that has an issue, but isn't able to communicate that back to our product teams. Then I'm the in-between guy that can can translate that.
Okay, so you're also the link, let's say, to the product management team, for example.
Yeah.
Okay.
And sometimes engineering as well.
Okay, cool. So as you just talked about, meeting people, we met last year in October. Was it October? I think in Express Live.
End of September. I think it was the 30th or the 31st, just before.
And I remember you said, okay, you just flew in from London, I think, and you were about to leave to fly to Munich. So I think this brings us to the third question, Markus, right?
Yes. So how many days do you spend at home each year?
Well, if we take the average of the past 3 years, I'd say it's quite average. But if we look at the last couple of months, it's about 1 week at home and 3 weeks on the move.
Okay, so you could kind of you could rent out your home, I guess, in the meantime, maybe.
Yeah, but that sounds like a lot of extra work. So
that's true. That's true. So you're really traveling a lot, right?
Yeah, but it's something by choice, and it's also that it is quite useful if you do like to travel, because there are, of course, a lot of events and things are back in person now.
Yeah.
And I still enjoy it. If I don't enjoy it, then I wouldn't be doing it. And the nice thing is you get the opportunity to speak to people in different countries and even different cultures, and it broadens your view both culturally but also professionally, because sometimes people just have a different way of working. So being able to interact with people from all over the world, is something that I enjoy and learn a lot from.
And is there any specific region or country where you said, "Wow, this was the most surprising or interesting way how people work, or how their culture is"? Is there anything specific?
Well, there's two regions that for different reasons are interesting. When I worked in Sweden, I spent about 6 months there. I was surprised that even though I thought culturally we're quite similar, they're in the Nordics and we're almost Nordics. So I thought we were culturally quite close, but there was still a difference in communication. So that surprised me a bit. And I spent some time in East Asia as well, and there the work culture is just completely different with the hierarchies. And as a Dutch person, I don't understand what that word means. So
okay. But okay, so that's then one of the things, I guess, also for you to adjust, right? Or to at least know that, okay, these people, the culture is different, the way they work is different, and for you to kind of find a way to interact and to get the things done, right?
Yep, that's right.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I think it's time to start talking about PowerShell, Markus. What do you think?
Sure.
Okay, so was this question? Is it my turn? I have totally forgotten.
Sure. It's your turn.
It's my turn. Okay.
It's your turn.
So the question would be, how and why did you start learning PowerShell?
All right. So the first, it wasn't the first time I heard of it, but the first time I actually downloaded PowerShell, or the Windows Management Framework, as it was called back then. I didn't really see the point that much, because my colleague showed me, and he said, "Look, and you can show the processes." And I just thought, yeah, but I can see the processes if I press Control Shift Escape. Then I also have that. So what's really the point? So it didn't really connect yet. And also I knew I could do it in VB script, even though PowerShell was easier. But I really started using it after I had been working in IT for a couple of years, and I had indeed clicked all the buttons and I had seen all the menus. And then I thought, well, I don't want to click things again. And I was doing a data/print server migration. And have you ever done a print server migration, Heiko?
No, I didn't.
Okay, well,
that's missing in my CV as many other things.
No. This is just extremely painful.
Okay.
So it's not something I would recommend at all. Oh, sorry. It's just a complete pain with drivers and settings, and I think this was server 2003 as well. So it was not. I was not having a good time with it. Is what I'm saying. But the good thing about it was I was given some time to come up with a better solution, so we didn't have to do everything manually. So we started building out the framework. My colleague was really good at VB script, and I said I was really good at PowerShell, which at that point I was not. But I had Google, and I had persistence, so I got something together. And by the end of that project, I was pretty well versed in PowerShell. We ended up with this gigantic monstrosity of a script that was able to do everything if you knew how it worked.
Okay. That sounds already like an interesting project. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it definitely was, and there I really saw the benefit, because what used to be something that we'd have to work on the entire week to do manually. We could run it over the weekend, and it would be fully automated, but it needed some oversight to make sure everything was running according to plan. Yeah, that was my first big introduction into PowerShell, and the benefits were also immediately obvious because I basically automated myself away and made my job better because of it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's a cool story. I mean, this is kind of the fundamentals for when we think about PowerShell. But actually, I have also myself a similarity to what you said in the beginning. Like, I didn't see the point, which was the same for me when I first saw PowerShell in Exchange 2007, where I thought, what the heck, there is the GUI, and then a few weeks later I had to do things. I think I had to reconfigure SMTP connectors or something on multiple machines.
Yeah.
And that's where I thought, okay, as you said, instead of clicking every n times for all the servers, for each server, I do it with PowerShell. And so that's also, I didn't have the vision at the beginning, like, oh, this is really a groundbreaking new thing. But then after a while, it was like, it's really a great technology. It makes life easier if you know how to do it, right? So
what helped me with that was the scripting guy blog at the time. There was just a wealth of information there.
Yeah.
And anything I couldn't get answered, I would go on I think it was still the TechNet forums at the time. And I would post my scripts, and I would look at other answers to get to the point where I needed to be.
Okay, so this is kind of the part of as it was a two-part question. This is like kind of starts to answer the how question, right? So how did you learn? It's like, I guess, hands-on, and then using things like TechNet and stuff.
Yeah, that's right. But I think the driver for me was that I always needed to have a problem to solve, because I think the reason I enjoy using PowerShell is because I'm lazy, and the reason that I don't learn very well if I don't have anything to automate is also because I'm lazy. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword. I can build cool things when there's something to build, but I'm very bad at learning it from a book. The issue in retrospect I see with it, because I never read any of the basics of PowerShell, I didn't realize that it was an object-based language until a couple months in, and even then I didn't really understand what it meant. So I could have saved myself. Some time, but that's something that I always tell people. Try to come up with a problem that you want to solve, and then use PowerShell for it, because it's a lot easier to learn when you're working on solving an actual problem.
Yeah, I think that's very good advice. And also just start doing it, right? And then I think for me also, it's like, okay, seeing some success to see, okay, it works. Like, okay, it already makes my life easier, and then start digging in and at least for me, trying to understand, how this works and how things can be done in a better way, in a structured way, and maybe even reading a book about it or something. Yeah, but I think the initial spark, as you said, I think it's like I really have these painful things that I'm doing every day. I don't want to do it anymore. There must be a better way, right?
Yeah.
So I think that answers I think that was the answer to our next question. What would you recommend for people wanting to start with PowerShell?
That's true. Yes. Yeah.
Just do it.
But then again, I guess I also think that people are different. So for some people, I guess it's okay, they start with a book or with a video, or they go to a conference, or they meet at the community and stuff like that.
Yeah, No, I think that's also for me. It's also a big driver. Is going to conferences and seeing the presentations and having the chat with people there. Those are the kind of things that motivate me to dive into aspects of PowerShell that I haven't touched much, or to give you a new idea of something you can do with PowerShell that isn't immediately obvious.
So getting some inspiration, right? So like looking at things outside the box, right? Where I think especially at the PowerShell conference events, it's like sometimes you really think you see people going, to the edge of doing things with PowerShell, which is like, whoa. So like, okay, why did you do the PowerShell? Because it's possible, but it's like connecting things together. So that's really an interesting thing. So we have a question here coming in in regards to events here. So do you have any recommendations for event in Europe and the US for admins?
I think actually most PowerShell conferences are still very much focused on the admin side of things. And I'd say the PowerShell conference Europe is the biggest one in Europe, and it's coming up in June. And if you're in the US, then the DevOps and PowerShell conference in Bellevue is happening at the end of April. And I think that either Heiko or Markus can share the links.
I'm just exactly. I'm just looking at it. Yeah. So I will paste in the link to the one in Bellevue. That's the PowerShellSummit.org, and the one for the PSConf as well.
The downside of it is if you think you can go to either of those and avoid me, that is not possible because I'll be speaking at both of them. So my apologies in advance. You can still avoid my session because there's multiple tracks.
But I think this is more of a unique selling point for this event instead of other things. So, but yeah, I think we will also come back a little bit about towards the next topic when we talk about events. But I think so the PowerShell Summit, as you said, it's in April, right?
Yeah, that's right. Unfortunately, it's always hosted on King's Day. So I've been missing King's Day for every year since 2019, and a couple of years the PowerShell DevOps Summit wasn't, but then King's Day also wasn't there for reasons.
Okay. So does this make you a bad Dutch person? No, right?
No, I mean I'm still representing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And you do it well. So nothing wrong here. Perfect. Yeah, cool. So I think we have another question in regards to PowerShell, Markus, right?
And it's your turn.
It's my turn. Okay.
Yeah.
What is your favorite PowerShell module?
That's easy. That's got to be PS Readline because it's always there. It does cool stuff for us.
Okay.
It also leaks your passwords if you're not careful.
With great power comes great responsibility, right? Yeah.
Exactly. So if you ever enter in a password without a secure string, then it's definitely in your text log. Yeah. And I've had cases where I left my system unlocked because I was presenting and I didn't want the slides to stop, and then someone walked up to my laptop and dumped my passwords from my PS Readline. So I was very grateful.
What? Okay. Yeah. Okay. I mean, security is obviously a topic everywhere, including using PowerShell, right? Which the public learned again last year when, who was it? Who had this? I already forgot. Where they had this topic where, because of plain text credentials in the PowerShell script, they had a big breach. Was it Airbnb? Uber. It was Uber. Yeah. So that hopefully reminded people of things like, okay, taking care of your credentials in a secure way. And
yeah, the secret manager module is great.
yeah.
I mean, you could even use secure strings, but just don't store them. Just don't store them in your script, because it also defeats. If you both store your certificate and your script in the same place, then it's still not really secure.
Yeah, there's no point. Absolutely, and I think, and there are already a number of extensions being built by the community for the secret management, right? For OnePass, for 1Password and KeePass, and
I've been using I've been using KeePass in combination with PowerShell in the past. These days, I use a combination of HashiCorp Vault and Azure Key Vault.
Okay, and I think isn't there also for HashiCorp? I think there's also an extension for the secrets management module.
I think secrets management just also supports Vault. So the
Azure Key Vault. Yeah, right. And then I think it's Justin who wrote a lot of extensions already, and I think there are more coming in. I think I just checked last week that the list is growing. So that's really good.
I'm always very impressed with Justin. I don't know how he finds the time in day to do as much as he does, because anything I've ever touched in PowerShell, there's a contribution from Justin. So I tip my hat to Justin for everything he does. In the same vein, Doug Fink, is also one of those people that just has so many modules.
Yeah. Maybe we should talk about ChatGPT. I haven't tried his module that he just published. I think even already a new version. I think he's very active.
He did a talk about it. I think it was today in our time, but it was last night. He did a virtual user group.
In the New York user group?
Yeah, in his own time zone.
Oh, right. Okay.
But it might happen in a European time zone at some point in the near future as well. But I'll let you know about it.
Yeah, keep me posted. That would be great. Yeah, because I think there's a big hype going on right now, right? And
we live in an age where we don't have to write our own PowerShell scripts anymore. We just have ChatGPT create them for us.
Yeah, and hopefully with the quality we expect. But it's a great technology. But I think this is another big topic that maybe we can come back later. I think there's one more question in this general PowerShell category, Markus, right?
What was your most interesting PowerShell project so far?
I think for the amount of impact and learning I had to do, that was my first project, the one I just described, about automating the migrations as far as I could. I think the other side of it is I used to work for a company, and what I did there was basically my job was to look at a ticketing queue and see what kind of tickets came in, and if there was a lot of tickets of the same type. For example, the easiest one we solved was disk is full. And what we then created with a bunch of PowerShell scripts and workflows was take a look at it, see if there's been tickets like this before, run a default cleanup script, empty Internet Explorer cache, trash can, a couple of things like that to try and free up space. If it's good enough, then it's good enough. If it's not good enough, then check if you're able to resize the disk, if that's allowed for this particular VM, and if it can actually resize. And then if that's possible, then automatically resize the disk. And there's also a check built in that if it already happened twice before, that it won't resize it a third time, and then it will actually escalate it further. And what we did was we built out a lot of workflows there. This was one of the easier ones, but anything that was IT admin related, we would build scripts for it and have them automatically run and resolve issues in our infra.
Okay, interesting. So I guess there was a lot of REST calls involved in regards to connect to the ticket system, or was it directly integrated?
No, the ticket system was an in-house. It was an in-house system, so that was completely integrated. So it was the ticketing system and the automation system were integrated. And that sounds amazing. So from that part, it was. The challenge was that you were only allowed to enter a single line of PowerShell. So.
Whoa. Okay. No. So that must have been long ones, right? With
very long ones.
With,
when I came in, everyone was just concatenating concatenating lines together with a semicolon in between. Then I switched to base 64 and changed PowerShell to run it as a base 64 input. But then I started hitting the 64 or 32K limit that the line could be long. Yeah. And then I ended up with a wrapper that would take the code, compress it with gzip, and then base encode that string. So I could fit a couple 100 kilobytes in some cases into a 32K base 64 string. So, and then it would include a wrapper that would automatically unfold it and then execute the code.
Okay, well, creative solutions, right?
Yeah,
creative solution. That's a nice thing also about PowerShell, right? Because when people ask for particular things like, okay, how to do this and this, typically there's not this one way. There are multiple ways. I think that's the nice thing about the versatility of PowerShell as well.
Yeah, and also, of course, what I did with that is that all the scripts that I've created that did that, I also shared everything on GitHub, so it's available for anyone if they want to play with it.
Okay, cool. That brings us back to, I think we had the banner on, but for people who might not follow you already, they definitely should do that, right? But also maybe that's another question. Do you still have time to do a lot of PowerShell in your current role?
Well, it depends how you define a lot of time. I don't do PowerShell for 40 hours a week, but it also depends what I'm working on. Because currently I work for Harness. We do a lot with CI/CD, so there's definitely enough surface area there. So my interaction with PowerShell is either making it easier to interact with the Harness platform using PowerShell, or showcasing how you could best build out your CI/CD pipelines for PowerShell within the Harness platform. So there's plenty of opportunity there.
Okay, cool. Okay, so you're still in the PowerShell hands-on arena, so to speak.
Yeah. It's but like I described earlier, my goal can be different from week to week, to month to month. Some weeks it's a lot of events, and then there's more. If I talk about PowerShell to prep my session and make sure that I can explain the concepts well, and other times I automate things around my home using PowerShell. For example, I have a whole bunch of lights in my room, and I got sick of using all the applications on my phone to manage it. So I wrote some PowerShell scripts so I can turn on and turn off my lights using PowerShell.
All right. Okay. So
nice.
With here again with some REST calls, or did you build a module, or is it a function?
Yeah, there's a module. There's a module for it. The module already existed, but it was missing some functionality. So instead of making a new module, I decided to just contribute to the existing one. So it's what is the module called? It's very good.
Is it in the gallery?
Yeah, it's in the gallery.
Okay. Maybe people might be interested.
Yeah, I think it's just called Elgato because I have Elgato lights, and they have the benefit that every light comes with a built-in API endpoint, so you can just do REST calls directly to your lights. So it's significantly easier than some of the other
Okay, yeah, I just found one called Elgato. Provides a PowerShell-friendly interface to manage Elgato devices such as the Keylight Air.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Maybe we just put that into the chat as well for people out there that might be interested in that, as Elgato is widely used, right? So,
yep.
Cool.
If my camera stops working, it's because my Elgato video capture device isn't working anymore.
Okay.
Which, to be fair, hasn't happened in the past year, but yeah.
Okay, yeah, stable, cool. Yeah, so we already talked a little bit about events, but this would be another topic that we have here. Markus, is it my turn for the question? I've lost track.
I guess yeah, it's your turn.
Is it? I lost track.
Yeah.
Okay. So we already, as I said, we already covered a little bit, but the question would be, what events are you going to attend or speaking at in 2023? Where have people the pleasure to meet you?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's going to be that's going to be a lot of events, but the most PowerShell related ones are I run a lot of PowerShell User Group events within the Netherlands for DAPSAC. So we've started being in person again since last year.
Yeah.
So if you're in the Netherlands or passing through in the Netherlands, keep an eye out for DAPSAC, also DDoG, which is the DevOps and GitHub user group. And for the big events, yeah.
Are there any links that we could share where people can find when they're on you?
Yeah. Can I also share things here? Or
I don't think so.
I can put it
in the private chat. Yeah, and then I can copy it over. Yeah. All right. Okay, I got this one.
And the other one is.
And I think the PowerShell user group is something that you co-organize with Barbara, right?
Yeah, with Barbara. The DAPSAC is a bit fluid. It depends who wants to organize, but it's been me and Barbara for the past couple of years.
Okay, cool. So yeah,
but DAPSAC has been around for a long time. We celebrated our 10-year anniversary in November.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think I remember. I think I had a chance to talk about ScriptRunner. I think 2 years ago or something. That was still the virtual online time. Those days. Yeah,
I think we managed to squeeze out about 10 virtual editions in 2 years' time. So it was
okay. Wow. Okay, so what else? Which other events?
So the PowerShell events is going to be the PowerShell conference that I mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
I'll definitely be attending Experts Live Netherlands. There's also quite some PowerShell sessions there, and if I'm lucky, I'll talk about PowerShell. But the CP is still open, so I don't know. And I think that's also the challenge of answering where I will speak, because a lot of the events haven't announced yet where I'm speaking.
Okay, but Experts Live.
Also the PowerShell Day Europe is coming up. So that one's early March, I think. 1, 2, and 3 March.
You mean the one in the UK?
Yeah, in London.
Yeah. Oh, see, maybe we can also paste the link into the chat as well.
Ooh, yeah, make sure you get the right link, because there is if you go to PhD UK, I think their domain expired, so it's now somewhere else.
Yeah, I just found that. Yeah, the first link, I got an error of the certificate error.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, maybe we find it. 2023.
Yes, I found it.
Okay, cool.
Let me share that.
It's on Gail's page, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Mr. DSC.
Mr. DSC, absolutely. Perfect. All right, I put that into the chat as well.
So for those of you who don't know, Gail is actively working with Microsoft to make DSC great again. So a lot of the improvements over the last couple of years he had his hand in.
Yeah, I would say he's kind of the leading figure of the DSC community in general, right?
Yep.
Yeah, great. Yeah, so I mean, there are a lot of opportunities to meet you. That's good, and to learn from you, of course.
Yeah, and I think in Amsterdam we also have KubeCon is hosted in Amsterdam this year, so I'll most likely be there as well. And the next one coming up is Cloud Native Amsterdam, and that one's in end of February. But that's not very related to PowerShell, so it depends.
Yeah. Okay, but this just shows what we discussed earlier on, that you are on the road quite a lot, right?
I mean, Amsterdam is not on the road. I can cycle there, which is what I much prefer to do.
That's true. You can take the scooter, right? Like, yeah. And so,
well, I'm Dutch. I don't take a scooter. I cycle.
Okay. Good. so checking all the boxes for being Dutch, right? Excellent. Perfect. Yeah. So, and the Global Summit, I think you mentioned you're going to be there as well. So, what session what the topics that you're going to talk about?
That's a very good question. I think one of them is Azure durable functions with PowerShell, and the second one I need to double check because I might mix it up with PowerShell Conference Europe, because I submitted different sessions to both, and I'm not entirely sure which got accepted at which one.
But that can happen if you're like you know, being active at so many events. Obviously, yeah. Cool. Okay.
You can probably hear I'm typing away. So
yeah. So this is live, people out there. This is live.
Let's see. Oh yeah. Wait. Sorry to inform. Oh yeah, and writing pester tests at scale. So I've done a fair amount with pester, and this is also one of the cases where when I was told about pester, I didn't really see the use case. So I guess you could say that I'm what's the word I'm looking for? I'm critical when I see new technologies. I first want to be convinced. Pester took me a while, because I remember that there was one year at the PowerShell Conference Europe where there were a lot of sessions about pester. I think it was June Blender was still working at Microsoft at the time. And she did a talk about test-driven development, starting out your development by writing your tests first before you start writing any code. I have to say I never got to that level, but I have worked on projects where I inherited a large legacy PowerShell code base. I guess legacy sounds a bit odd in the context of PowerShell, but a big code base. So we're talking about a couple 100,000 lines, and I needed a way not just for myself to be able to make changes confidently, but also be able to get people from the community and get people from outside of my team to also start contributing. And so we went from a code coverage of a little bit under 2% to having code coverage of I think 70-80%. So most of our private and public function, at least where it was sensible, had unit tests, and we had performance tests, and we had integration tests.
Okay. Well, that's a big improvement. Wow. Okay. Cool. Okay, so people can expect a lot of real life experience in your talk about Pastor.
That's right.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So as we are kind of reaching the end, we have a little fun questions, so to speak. I think we heard, right, Markus, that you, Jaap, you're kind of a coffee lover. Is this the right word, or are you a barista? Are you very much into it? Let us know.
No. I like to go by coffee artist. I'm not a barista.
Coffee artist. Okay, now I'm getting. So you're painting smells like somebody like an artist with a pen and or.
Well, I was in lockdown. I was in lockdown for a bit, so I got bored and I needed a hobby. I decided to get more into coffee. So it started with getting better beans, and then I thought, well, my coffee grinder isn't great, so I got a better coffee grinder. And over the years and during my travels, I'd seen different ways of brewing coffee that I just thought was interesting. So I got a little Vietnamese coffee maker, and I got in Japan one time. I got this giant contraption that made coffee through a vacuum, and it just looked amazing because it had a giant light halogen light underneath. So I got that, and a couple of espresso makers, and I liked Chemex, so I got a Chemex so I could do nice pour over coffees and a cold brew set. So I just went all in with mostly making coffee the manual way, so grinding my own beans. Nowadays I'm even roasting my own coffee beans. I'm doing a terrible job at it. It's way better when I get it from a roastery, but I'm still having fun with it.
Okay, so let's say, imagine we would visit you at home. The whole home would be full of coffee making related devices.
If I would all put them out there, it's a decent collection. I'd say. I think I have about 14 or 15 different ways of making coffee. So.
All right. And is there one most favorite one, or it depends?
I think as a daily routine, I have a stovetop espresso maker. And this is a little stovetop device that actually goes up to 9 bar, and then it makes one double shot of espresso, but it's in reverse, so the espresso bubbles up instead of coming down. So it's kind of cool to see that to see that process and see the espresso rise on your stove.
Okay, this sounds a little bit like similar, like maybe a tea ceremony, right? Where you kind of you're not just drinking the making of the process of making it is also part of the whole thing, right?
Yeah, I'll share the link in case anyone is nerdy about coffee as well.
Yeah, I think Markus, you are also a little bit into this coffee stuff, right?
Yes, and I have a device. It's not exactly like that, but it's similar.
But I have to have a link now, Markus.
Okay. Oh, okay. That looks much more professional than mine.
But the outcome is important, right? I mean, it's if the taste, right?
Exactly, and it looks like the brewed coffee out of that device is very tasty.
Excellent.
Well, that's the important thing. And actually, how I got involved with making coffee a little bit better than the standard way, it was also at one of the PowerShell conferences. So this was PowerShell Conference Asia, hosted in Singapore that year, and we were in the office in the Microsoft offices. But on Saturday, the coffee machines were turned off for some reason, so I couldn't get my morning coffee, and I definitely needed my morning coffee. So I was ready to walk downstairs and get a coffee at some American chain that I don't particularly want to name, because of course the coffee isn't fantastic.
Yeah.
But then Ben told me that he actually had a portable French press with him and some ground up real coffee beans. So
Wow. He was
after
prepared.
that one, he came prepared. I did not come prepared, but I only come not prepared once. So as I was sipping on my coffee, I immediately ordered two of them, one for traveling and one for at home.
Okay.
Because I like the quality. So by the time I got home from Singapore, I had two French presses at home.
Okay. Cool.
I still bring those when, particularly when I travel to the US, and I know that I'm going to be in a conference center, and I'll be forced to drink coffee from those giant
this brown
those
water.
giant jugs. That's warm water. That's coffee flavored.
Yeah. So okay, so you're prepared now as well. Okay. Very cool. I think so. Excellent. I think we have covered all the questions. It's already we're a little bit over time, but I think that's not an issue. It was really.
Oh, okay. Can I do one thing before we go to show one of the unusual use cases of PowerShell aside from the ones
please
I mentioned?
Go ahead. Yes, of course. Yeah. Let's take a look at it. Absolutely.
Yeah, let's open it up. So this is one that I came up with when I was doing a lot of work on API development and building out my REST calls.
Okay.
What you can see here at the bottom is that I opened up developer mode. So this is Firefox, but this is also available in Chrome and the new Edge browser as well. So we can already see that it now did a post request, but this is not what we're interested in. So what we'll do is we'll change a setting here. So this is a feature flag which changes something in software, but it's not really interesting for that. So we can see that it's now changed to sunglass. And what I'll do now is I'll change it to bow tie, save it again. So we can now see that it says bow tie. I'm now going to take this first request. Oh, we can't see the right clicking here. So that's a little bit unfortunate. But what we can do here is we can right click on this and we can do copy as PowerShell. And I'll go over to GitHub here. I'll paste the output. And we can see now that we get an entire PowerShell command. And let's look here. So we can see that it changes it to sunglass. The rest are all just cookies and authorization. So what this allows you to do is whenever you're logged into to any kind of website that uses web requests. So this can be the Azure portal. It can be some kind of SaaS product that doesn't have an API available for you, but you want to automate something. For example, when I need to create Jira tickets, sometimes I need to create 10 of the same ones with slightly different description. So what I did in Jira is I copied it, I threw it in a for loop in PowerShell, and I just created the other 9 after creating the first one in the interface. So that's cool. It's quite powerful and easy to do. And now if I take this code and if I run this, so I'm currently not in a GitHub code space, so I can't run it there, but I'll run it on my computer. Except just done. And then if we go back, you can see it still says bow tie. If we refresh it, it should say sunglasses again, because we just ran the sunglass command.
Okay.
So I've taken a website and I'm able to do this in PowerShell without having any understanding how these API calls work, but simply by listening in on the traffic and developer mode having the capability of just generating PowerShell commands for you. So in this case, I did it with one command, but you can also do it for all commands that are listed here. So you could go to an entire process of clicking to a website, take all those API calls, and create one big PowerShell script out of it with zero coding involved. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, really cool. Yeah,
that's very cool. Yeah, wow, that's impressive. That's a cool thing. Okay, this is
the downside of it is that once your token expires, then you can't you can't run the commands anymore. But there are some workarounds for that, so by just generating a new token and then just inputting that in your script. In your script again.
Okay, like in the scheduled or something process. Okay. Very interesting. Yeah, I think that was because I completely forgot about that. So it was great that we had a chance to see that. That's really cool.
Yeah, that's no problem. I'm here to remind you.
You're doing a great job. Yeah, thanks a lot. That's yeah, it was really fun talking to you. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks everyone for tuning in, following our conversation. And as this is also recorded, people can go back and watch it again. So again, Jaap, thanks a lot. Thanks, Markus. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, Jaap.
And see you next time out there.
Bye-bye.